talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory, what authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look because all they see is death and destruction and rubble.
He has a different idea, and I think it's worth paying attention to this. We're talking about it. He's exploring it with his people, with his staff. I think it's something that could change history, and it's worthwhile really pursuing this avenue.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Donald Trump says that the United States should take over ownership of the Gaza Strip to occupy it for a long period of time and to rebuild it, turn it into like Dubai, an international place where there'll be not just Palestinians but other groups as well. And that way the Middle East will finally have peace in that region. The Jews will have peace. The Gaza situation would be in total control of the United States. And we see now that the two-state solution that so many people wanted is now off the table. The Israelis don't want a two-state solution. Donald Trump says we can't go back to the way we always done things, of the Palestinians returning, then rebuilding, then a year and a half later, they're going to attack the Israelis again, and then the Israelis are going to go in and destroy the Gaza Strip again, and just rehashing the same old scenario over and over. Donald Trump says, no, we can't go back to that anymore. So he's proposing that the United States occupy the Gaza Strip. And in Isaiah, the 14th chapter that we have been saying here for years now, this sounds like a fulfillment of that prophecy of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, verse 29, where God says this, and this is in the end time. When you look at the whole chapter of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, obviously this is in the end time. And God says here, rejoice not thou whole Palestine, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. Of course, that rod is Judah. And it was broken, as we saw in last October when the Palestinians went in and attacked the Israelis. We saw that Judah was wounded. Judah was broken. And then it says, for out of the serpent's root shall come forth a viper, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. Now, I go into great detail about this prophecy in another video I did called Judah Shall Be Broken. I'll put the link in the description below, and we go through that prophecy in great detail. But this actually means that out of Judah's root, and what is the root of the modern day Israeli nation today? The root comes from Britain and America. Out of Judah's root shall come forth a viper, a stronger nation. And then it says, and the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. That's talking about Judah. That the northern army, which is led by the United States, is going to come in and protect Judah and bring peace to the Middle East. It says, I will kill thy root. What is the root of the Palestinians, the terrorist organization that rules over Gaza? What is that root? That is Iran. And God says, I will kill your root. That's Iran. With famine. And we see when Trump was in power the first time, with all the sanctions that they had on Iran, Iran was basically bankrupt. And they couldn't really do anything. They couldn't fund anyone until Biden came into power. And then, of course, they started funding Iran again with the American taxpayer dollars. And they got their money back again through oil and so on. And, of course, they started attacking the Jews once again. And we've seen that through the 4 years of Biden. But God says that I will kill your root with famine. They're going to cut off the supplies to Iran. And Donald Trump's going to do that again. And he shall slay thy remnant. Who is that he that's going to slay Iran? Well, notice verse 31. Howl, O gate, cry, O city, thou whole Palestine, art dissolved. Now, when you look at the Barnes Notes commentary, When it says you are dissolved, it means that it's melted away, that Palestine is destroyed. And it could also mean they are dissolved in fear. It could mean both. It could be one or the other. I think it's both. But it says Palestine is dissolved. And look at the Gaza Strip. It is an absolute wasteland. All the buildings are destroyed, and whatever's left are about to collapse anyways. And that's what Donald Trump was saying, that the whole place is just a desolate wilderness. We need to go in there, the United States, occupy it, and rebuild it. It says Palestine is dissolved, for there shall come from the north a smoke. Out of the north is going to come a smoke, and the smoke is a symbol of a huge army. And who is the king of the north that we've been saying for years now? And we've proved through this through our Watchman broadcasts and in our literature, the king of the north is the president of the United States. Now, if you want to know more about that, I'll put our video on that subject, but I'll also put the link to literature you can get called The Middle Eastern Prophecy, and you will see who exactly is the king of the north. And we have proven that the king of the north is the president of the United States. So out of the north, a smoke comes, and then it says, and none shall be alone in his appointed times. Now, Barnes Notes says here that when you read it in the Hebrew, it means neither is there anyone who can escape his army, or none of the Palestinians shall dare to remain in their palaces as when a smoke comes into a house. All are driven out. And so here we see that none can escape his army, that he's going to drive out all the Palestinians, which is what the plan is, to take out all these Palestinians. I think there's 1.7 million of them, and relocate them somewhere else so they can rebuild the Gaza Strip. Then it says, and what shall one then answer the messengers of the nation? So here are the ambassadors of the Palestinians, and maybe even other nations as well, coming to this king of the north. And how shall he answer these ambassadors of these nations? And then it says that the Eternal hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. When you look at the commentaries, it talks about the protection of Judah, peace to the Middle East. And this is what Donald Trump is proposing. And if he goes through with this, isn't this a fulfillment of this prophecy of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, verse 29 through 32? And I have long said that Donald Trump, to me personally, I believe he's going to fulfill these prophecies of the king of the north. And the next great prophetic event, as we've been saying for years now, is this. In Daniel, the 11th chapter, verse 45, it says, he, that's the king of the north, the president of the United States, shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. So we're going to see the NATO forces, led by the United States, occupy Judah to save Judah. And we read in Isaiah, the 22nd chapter, that Jerusalem is attacked. It hasn't happened yet, but it will. And who knows, when the United States occupies Gaza, is that going to upset Iran? And they'll start attacking Judah? Isaiah 22 says that the king of the north comes in and starts repairing Jerusalem. They want to repair the Gaza Strip. Isaiah 22 says they're going to repair Jerusalem. And this is what this prophecy is telling us here, that he's going to plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. That is the next great prophetic event. We're going to see the NATO forces occupy Judah. And when that happens, it says he shall come to his end and none shall help him. NATO is going to break apart. And right now, NATO's hanging on by a thread right now. But it says he shall come to his end and none shall help him. And there's a dual meaning to that, meaning that, yes, NATO's going to break apart, but the secondary meaning is that the king of the north is going to die. Now, is it going to be by natural causes? Is it going to be by assassination? We're going to just have to wait and see. But look at this clip of Donald Trump and what he says about Iran and what happens if they attempt to assassinate him again. Take a look at this clip.
Donald Trump has issued a dire warning to Iran, and the whole world is listening. The President of the United States is no stranger to assassination attempts, but this time the threat is coming from outside his own country. President Trump blasted the Iranian regime, telling the press pack that he has left instructions to obliterate the country if he was to be assassinated.
It's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That would be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why, lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader, or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran. So I'm signing.
Online commentators applauded the blunt comments, with this person saying, and he means every word of it.
All right, so if there's any attempt on the life of Donald Trump, then he is given instructions to obliterate Iran. And we have been saying for years now that the United States is going to attack Iran and destroy Iran. As it says in Zechariah, the 9th chapter, verse 1, the burden of the eternal in the land of Hadrach, and we have identified Hadrach as Iran, Persia. And it says, and Damascus shall be the rest thereof. Talking about the rest, that God's wrath is going to rest on Persia or Iran. And God uses his people Israel, as it says plainly in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, verse 20. It says that God uses Israel as his battle axe to destroy wicked nations. And who is modern Israel today? The United States and the British Commonwealth of Nations. And I'll put the link in the description below of our booklet, The United States and Britain in Prophecy, free of charge. And you can read that we are the house of Israel. I'll also put a link to another booklet called The Middle East in Prophecy. You can order that booklet and you can find out who is the king of the north. I'll also put 2 links to 2 videos I did called Judah Shall Be Broken and Persia in Bible Prophecy. And in those video descriptions, there are links to articles about that topic of Judah Shall Be Broken and Persia in Bible Prophecy. So here we see that prophecy is marching on, that Donald Trump is taking a complete different approach, not just to the United States of America and how that runs, but in the Middle East as well. And it looks like Bible prophecy, we are inching closer and closer to the fulfillments of these biblical prophecies. This is Peter Salemi saying goodbye, friends.